Now, let's get who's who in Philadelphia.
All Japanese cultures, religion, education,
Read.
Shindayai, language, etc. are distinctly Mongolian.
Read.
Jimmu Tenno brought Negroes with the sun and fire worship.
Jimmu Tenno brought Negroes with the sun and fire worship. Read.
From Mesopotamia.
From Babylon. Read.
And through Manchuria.
Read.
Zoroastrian traditions prove this.
Zoroastrian traditions prove this. Can you go back to the image of Jimmu Tenno? Can you see what's behind it? Behind him. That's why Japan is called the place of the sun, or the rising of the sun. After the sun god is Amaterasu or Baal. Same person. Now, get the picture of Jimmu Tenno. Look at the sun behind him. Let's go. Oh, we're not done. We just got started. We're just getting started. But wait, there's more. Let's jump down.
To be a good samurai.
Wait. To be a good samurai. Why now? We just read about Jimmu Tenno, brought Negroes from Mesopotamia. Now they're saying to be a good samurai. Read.
Fighting servant.
A samurai was a fighting servant. Read.
One must have half black blood in one's veins.
One must have half black blood in one's vein. If you want, I've been looking for this quote for years. I've been looking for this quote for years. Many scholars said that they made it up. This is not a quote. The Japanese never quoted this. Many people, when I went to people's forums, I tried to find this thing for years, and everybody came to the conclusion this was all made up. And they said the only samurai that was associated was Yasuke, the black samurai. But this was prior to Yasuke. They says to be a good samurai, I'm not talking about Afro samurai alone. I'm not talking about Yasuke, the black samurai from Mozambique. I'm talking about something different. We're talking about Jimmu Tenno. Just said Jimmu Tenno brought Negroes from Mesopotamia. But so why is it now going to be a good samurai? You must have what?
One must have half black blood.
You must have black blood, Negro blood. Read.
In one's vein.
Where were the samurais in Japan? Who did Jimmu Tenno bring with him? What were they called? Read.
Said the old proverb.
Said the old proverb. Read.
In those days, they were not ashamed to acknowledge.
Come on now, give me the next page. In those days, they were not ashamed to be acknowledged. Read.
Their black descent.
We were not ashamed of our black descent. Read.
But we're proud of it.
We were proud of our black descent. We were black and we were proud.
That's right.
Brother. Now, give me the next book. Give me back to the Japanese. Who are they? I want the next book. I want Jews and Japanese. End of the page.
A distinguished Japanese historian, Dr. J. Oyabe of Tokyo, who recently published a book dealing with the origin of the Japanese, attempts to show that they are of the same origin as the Jews.
So the Japanese was not the same origins of the Jews. We're going to show you why they say that. Read on.
He tries to establish blood relationship between the Jews and the Japanese.
Come on.
Who he says are descendants of Gad and Manasseh.
Wait a minute. Come on. Let's rewind. Wait. Hold up. Wait a minute. Back it up. Come on now, let's read it again.
A distinguished Japanese historian, Dr. J. Oyabe of Tokyo,
distinguished come on,
who recently published a book dealing with the origin of the Japanese.
Read.
Attempts to show that they are of the same origin as the Jews.
So he said the Japanese. Remember, Japan was attributed to that land later on. That was never the land. They called that land Nihon, or Nippon. Japan was given to it in the late 1800s. Come on now.
He tries to establish blood relationship between the Jews and the Japanese,
Read.
who he says are descendants of Gad and Manasseh.
He says who are descendants of Gad and Manasseh. Gad and Manasseh. Can you give me the map again? Remember, it said Jimmu Tenno brought Negroes from Mesopotamia. Where did Gad and Manasseh, and not just Gad and Manasseh, but all the other tribes that was along with them. Bring up that map. Come on now. Why? Because who was dwelling on the borders of Ammon? Gad, and who else? And Manasseh. Now let's go back to the book.
He tries to establish blood relationship between the Jews and the Japanese.
Read.
Who he says are descendants of Gad and Manasseh.
Come on now.
He cites numerous customs among the Japanese resembling the Jewish customs.
Oh yeah, come on.
Particularly the Etrog and the Lulav.
Come on.
The Japanese, he maintains, went to Japan
So the Japanese he maintained went to Japan from where?
via Mesopotamia.
Via what?
Mesopotamia.
Via what?
Mesopotamia.
No, via Mesopotamia, read on.
And India.
And what?
India.
India, read.
After the destruction of the first temple.
After the destruction of the first temple. When was the destruction of the first temple? 586 BC. Jimmu, now go back to the Philadelphia. Jimmu Tennu took Negroes, Gad, Manasseh, Jews, after the destruction of the temple. Who did he take? Read it.
All Japanese cultures, religion, education, and Shindayai language, etc. are distinctly Mongolian.
Read.
Jimmu Tenno brought Negroes with the sun and fire worship from Mesopotamia and through Manchuria.
And through Manchuria. Now let's go back to the other book. The bottom part.
He cites numerous customs among the Japanese resembling the Jewish customs,
Read.
particularly the Etrog and the Lulav. The Japanese, he maintains, went to Japan via Mesopotamia,
Mesopotamia, he brought Negroes from Mesopotamia, read,
and India
and Manchuria. Go on.
after the destruction of the first temple.
After Gedaliah was killed. After Jimmu Tennu left. After Gedaliah was killed. Let's go to the next book. Now, what book is this? The Universal Jewish Encyclopedia. Did you make this, Officer Abaddon? Did you make this, Officer Shatiel? I didn't make this. It says the Jewish Encyclopedia. Come on now.
A theory has been advanced that the Japanese are descendants of the lost 10 tribes of Israel.
A theory has been advanced that the Japanese are descendants of the lost tribes of Israel. It's not so much that the Japanese people, because remember, we prove that the Japanese are descendants from Ammon, Ben Ami. The Japanese today are Ammonites. So now, there's something different going on. Remember, Gad and Manasseh, and you have other Negroes or Jews that came along with them. Because remember, you have Judah along with them. Ishmael was a Judite of the royal lineage. Come on. Now let's go.
Occidental travelers have found in the Yamato district of Japan 2 villages.
Yamato district of Japan was the first city established under the reign of Jimmu Tennu when he went over to Japan. Read.
Named Goshen and Manasseh.
Why was 2 cities in Yamato, Japan named Goshen and Manasseh? Why? The first cities that he established. Come on now.
Which cannot be explained etymologically from the Japanese.
They says etymologically, they can't go in the language. They can't explain why is it these 2 nations or these 2 cities within Yamato, these 2 villages are named Goshen and Manasseh. They can't explain it based upon etymology. Read on.
The legend is that these villages are the remains of a settlement by an unknown tribe that came to Japan.
They says the legend is that these villages are the remains of a settlement by an unknown tribe that came to Japan. It's not an unknown tribe. We know who the tribe is. Come on now.
In the 3rd century of the Christian era, in the vicinity of the 2 villages, there is still a temple known as David's Shrine.
There's a temple in Yamato known as David's Shrine. Keep going.
In the city of Usamasa, there is a well built some 15 centuries ago on a spot which belonged to an elder of this tribe. Engraved on the well is the word Israel.
Oh my gosh. Engraved on the well is the well of Israel. Wait, is not this well that Jacob gave to Joseph? Yeah. Come on now.
About the year 1930, a Japanese scholar who graduated from Yale Divinity School, Dr. Junichiro Ayabe, published a volume entitled Origin of Japan and the Japanese, in which he endeavored to show that the Mikado was a descendant of the tribe of Gad.
But the Mikado was a descendant of the tribe of Gad. Read on.
One of the scions of Gad, which was known as Jippon.
Jippon. One of the scions of Gad was known as Jippon. Read on.
Similar in sound to the old name for Japan.
Japan.
Nippon.
Nippon.
Also supporting the theory of an Israelitish origin
Read.
of the Japanese is the tradition among the samurai.
Wait a minute. Can we go back to that? Come on.
Also supporting the theory of an Israelitish origin of the Japanese is a tradition among the samurai.
It's a tradition, another origin, Israelite origin of the Japanese is the tradition among the samurai. Let's get deeper into it. In order to be a great samurai, one must have half black blood in him. Keep going. Come on.
A Japanese sect that their ancestors
A Japanese sect. Read.
that their ancestors came to Japan from Western Asia.
Where's Western Asia? The other side of the world. You have Israel, Ammon, Moab, Edom. That's Western Asia. Go on.
About 660 BCE.
Now, like I said, scholars mistaken the date. But why does it say 660 BC? Because that's the day Jimmu was born. So they associated that time period with 660 BCE, or the time period that Jimmu brought Negroes from Mesopotamia. So the samurai of the Japanese sect said that their ancestors came to Japan from Western Asia about 660 BC. That's what I said, be careful with the dates. The scholars mix up the dates all over the place. That's why God sent us down to put everything in its chronological order. Come on now.
The name samurai recalls ancient Samaria.
Wait, the name samurai recalls what?
Ancient Samaria.
What does samurai mean?
Ancient Samaria.
Samurai recalls ancient Samaria. The knights of Samaria. Defenders of Samaria. Keep going.
Whence the Israelites were exiled. Carvings preserved by
Israelites were exiled. Go on.
Carvings preserved by the samurai show early immigrants clothed very much like the ancient Assyrians. The samurai also observed.
Why were they clothed like the ancient Assyrians? Because the northern kingdom was conquered by the Assyrian Empire. Keep going.
The samurai also observed a number of rites like those observed by Jews, such as the redemption of the firstborn. And the wearing of a tonkin by Japanese priests, which is compared to the phylactery. The six-pointed Star of David is also very common in Japan, being
why? Because they brought in the what is it called, the Star of Moloch, because why? The god was Milcom or Moloch, and based upon King Solomon bringing that type of worship or idolatry within a nation. Go on now.
Being worn by children on their hats and used as a decorative motif.
Now let's go to the next book, Wanderers and Settlers.
Wanderers and Settlers in the Far East.
Jewish influence.
In 1925, a Dr. Chikao Fujisawa, a professor at Nihon University, wrote an article for Japan and Israel, which was entitled The Spiritual and the Cultural Affinity of the Japanese and Jewish People. In this essay, he refers to the thesis of a Dr. Kawamorita, who asserts that the first emperor of Japan was a scion of the House of David.
Now, he was not a scion for the House of David. They're mistaking it because there's so many correlations with the Israelites and with the people that came to Japan when they first established the land. Remember, you have Gad, Manasseh, and Negroes that came from Mesopotamia into Japan with Jimmu. Read.
This same article cites another scholar, a Dr. Oyabe, who states that the word Mikado, the ancient title of the Japanese emperor, can be traced back to Gad.
The Mikado, we gave him the title Mikado that can be traced back to the ancient what?
Back to Gad.
Back to who?
Gad.
So, what's the name? Jimmu was called Mikado. Wait a minute, I thought we read in Genesis 49 that the Milcom was going to Baalis. So the Mikado was attributed to the emperor, but could be traced back to who?
Gad.
Read.
One of the lost 10 tribes of Israel.
Read.
Oyabe is reported as having said that the name of the first Mikado, Jimmu.
What? The first Mikado who?
Jimmu means divine valor. And that he had the characteristic traits of the tribe of Gad.
Now, he did not. Because now the reason why they said it, because Gad mixed in with them and they retained their phenotype. So it's kind of hard to disassociate the two from each other because of Gad or Northern Kingdom every single where they went mixed in with every single nation. So they say, you know what? Jimmu has the traits, the characteristic traits, as well as the phenotype as Gad. Go on.
He added that according to the Jewish legendary tradition, Elijah quit Canaan for the east, riding on his chariot and leading a host of Gad and Manasseh knights.
And Manasseh what?
Knights.
Samurais. Go on.
Anxious to preserve intact the purity and genuineness of the original faith of Israel. This momentous event took place about 240 years before the first Tenno Jimmu held the solemn ceremony of his enthronement.
What is a nation?
Nation is men leading by example. Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is children with role models.